Hello, everyone. Alexis Nunes here alongside another Ale Moreno for this edition of ESPN FC Live. Remember, this is our live streaming YouTube show on 3 times a week. A little appetite wetter before Ale and the boys take it over on ESPN FC, which is on daily on ESPN Plus. Right, let's get into it, shall we? Because it's been an international break, but an eventful one, Ale. As you can see, he's in his Vamos Vino Tinto because CONMEBOL's going well for La Vino Tinto. We'll get to that as well in a bit. But first, since we love to upset people, Ale, especially you, let's play a little game of start, bench, or drop. Now, this has been inspired, of course, by you guys, our viewers. It actually stems from a question that you and Shaka were asked on ESPN FC's Extra Time. Have a listen.
Great question. You don't get to answer it.
Okay.
For all, start, bench, and drop. Shaka Hislop, Andre Onana, and Olivier Giroud.
Shaka! You know what I do? I will send Shaka to Greece. I will play on. I think Onana is gonna come good. I'll still give him the doubt. And Olivier Giroud, he will be the substitute for him. But Shaka, you're going to Mykonos, my friend. You're not going anywhere. You're going to Mykonos. I send you to Mykonos straight away. And I'll leave you there with the Greek people and make sure they give you a lot of salad. But if not, if you didn't say anything about them, you'll be my first pick, my friend.
We are definitely selling you to Panathinaikos.
Oh, please go.
Olympiacos.
I just settled for some yoga.
You know what? I'm starting Shaka.
Oh.
I am benching Giroud and selling Onana. That's what I'm doing.
Ooh.
I'm starting you, Shaka.
Oh, thanks, Ali.
At Panathinaikos.
Thanks for that, too. Thanks for that, too.
That was a nice question. Sent in by Shaka, master of perfection. Shaka P rankings.
That's my alter ego.
Shaka, what are you the master of perfection of?
Finding children.
I'm not listening to my bow. I did today.
Specifically, case.
Yeah.
Ale, who said loyalty is dead? I absolutely, no questions asked, would start Shaka as well. But we're going to mix things up a little bit here and talk about some real big ballers, shall we? Specifically, number 10. So in your area of the pitch, ones that absolutely set the Premier League alight. So not too far ago, but here are the names, Ali. Get ready. Dennis Bergkamp, Wayne Rooney, and Eden Hazard in his prime. Not unfortunately the Eden Hazard that we saw at Real Madrid, but Eden Hazard that got everyone excited. So number 10s, Bergkamp, Rooney, Hazard, start, bench, drop. How are you putting it?
Well, the drop is easy. It's in Hazard. And the reason it's an easy one is because in Hazard, while we may think of him as a number 10, really he played more on the wing, on the side, and he would drift from the outside in or essentially isolate players in 1v1 situations. And when he was at his best, it was on that left-hand side, taking players on to the outside or to the inside. So I'm dropping him because I don't quite see him as a guy who really occupies the position of a number 10. As it pertains to Dennis Bergkamp and Wayne Rooney, look, this is as subjective as it can be. And this is about personal preference. And while Wayne Rooney scored goals, created chances, historic numbers in the Premier League, I still cannot look past the elegance and the ease with which Dennis Bergkamp played the game. When you see this guy bringing a ball down in a tight area, in tight spaces, in the manner in which he did, and how he was able to create and manipulate space for himself and look as if he was not even sweating while he was doing it, that's the sort of ease with which I would have liked to have played the game and never got close. Dennis Bergkamp, for me, when it comes to this particular set of choices, I'm going to say I'm starting Dennis Bergkamp, and it's more because subjectively I look at him and say, man, he is everything that I would have wanted to be in terms of how he treated the ball and how elegant he was with his game, not making it hard work like I did for the length of my career. that's who I'm starting. I'm benching Wayne Rooney, and I know that I'm leaving a lot of goals on the bench, and I know I'm leaving a lot of history on the bench. And then I'm dropping in Hazard because I don't think he quite qualifies for this particular question in regards to the number 10 position in the Premier League.
So you were more Rooney-esque then? Were you more of a bit of a bully, a bit more physical, a bit more feisty with some wondrous goals?
No, I was tapping central inside the 18-yard box, jumping on rebounds from 3 yards out, my kind of range. I was neither Rooney nor Bergkamp, but when I think of Bergkamp, I think, for example, take it back to the quarterfinals of the '98 World Cup, and that long pass that came from the left-hand side, I believe it was Frank de Boer, over the top against Argentina, and he's able to bring the ball down on one touch, and then on the second touch takes it over the head of Roberto Ayala, great center back from Argentina, and then outside of the right foot finds the far post for a game-winning goal. That's a Dennis Bergkamp that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking about Dennis Bergkamp. I think it may have been against Newcastle, in which he gets a ball to the top of the 18-yard box and somehow takes a touch around the defender, spins the other way, meets the ball on the other side, and finishes the chance. That's the sort of elegance that I'm talking about with Dennis Bergkamp, and it's at a completely different level. So when he was at his best, this is a guy that honestly made the game look easy when he wasn't.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for me to argue against you there, Ale. But you know what? We still need goal poachers like you guys that just hover around right in front, almost kissing the goalkeeper just to get that tap in. So that's a skill in and of itself. Well, let's move on now because, like I said, it's been the international break. As I live here in London, there's a lot of excitement brewing, Ali, especially after England got a bit of revenge over Italia yesterday at Wembley. The Three Lions came back from a goal down to beat Italy 3-1 and for the next Euros in Germany next year. You do feel like Gareth Southgate and the Three Lions have a bone to pick there as it comes to the Euros. They managed to get revenge on Italy home and away, but in this match, Ale, one thing interesting that Gareth Southgate, I thought, said after, he said, people used to criticize us for not beating the top teams in consistently. Now they've gotten 2 wins against Italy, like I said, home and away. How impressed were you with this win?
It was a great performance from England. And yes, they go down. And yes, there were some times where they were open for transitions, particularly in the first half. And those are things that I'm sure Gareth Southgate is going to address. But the reaction of the team, I thought, was outstanding. And the quality of play in key moments and in key parts of the field was also outstanding. You can highlight many individual performances, but I think you start with Jude Bellingham and what he gives this team. At times, finding a role for him with the national team was going to be tricky for Southgate, and I think you have found a role. It's the same role that he has for Real Madrid. Give him some freedom in order for him to be able to support the attack, to run out of the midfield. He will do the work defensively for you. You don't even have to demand that from him because naturally he finds himself in situations where he is going to win a sliding challenge, where he is going to win a tackle, but give him the freedom to find the spaces in the attacking half. And in particular, I think most importantly, give him the freedom to run out of the midfield because he is going to split lines, because he is going to get in behind. And he's so difficult to track a player with his skill set because now you have that moment in which Italy is trying to figure out, do we track his run with a midfield? Does a center back pick him up? And then that fraction of doubt, Bellingham is already gone and he's creating chances for himself, for others, drawing a penalty, so on and so forth. And when I say that he's willing to win a sliding challenge, well, that's what he did as well in the second half. Wins the challenge, then goes and gets on the end of the, I think it was a flick on from Phil Foden, then finds Marcus Rashford, and then Marcus Rashford finishes the chance. But it all starts with his sliding challenge, with his ability to win a ball in a deeper position. So Jude Bellingham, I think you can look at him and say everything that is good about England and what's good in that performance goes to Jude Bellingham. But then beyond Bellingham, I like Harry Kane and what he does with the hold-up play. I don't like it so much when he goes and drops deeper to get the ball from center backs. I don't think that that's something that he should be doing as often as he tends to do nowadays, because then you see the third goal and you see what he can do if he stays higher up the field, that he still has the strength and the speed to get away from defenders and finish chances. Stay up there, Harry. Every so often come deep if you want to, but not as deep as to be getting the ball from center backs. I don't think that makes any sense. So overall, the performance for England, I thought, was outstanding. And they made Italy at times look silly in the second half, and it's not easy to do that. England, yes, should be favorites going into the Euros.
I mean, let's stick a pin on Jude Bellingham, as if we don't talk about him enough. We talk about him pretty much every weekend when we do our coverages for La Liga. I think it was one thing, it might have been Sid Lowe that had said it when we were covering a Real Madrid game, that Bellingham stepped in on this Real Madrid team with so many big names, as Real Madrid tend to do. And from the minute he started, he just acted like he belongs. And it's almost like he doesn't even think it's that much of a big deal. He just always feels like he belongs. And we talk about how he is and his impact for club. And then you see his impact now for country. Am I tempted to say best player in the world right now?
I feel like you are tempted. I feel like
I've been a little birdie has told me to ask this question to you.
I feel like you are saying it, and it's hard to argue. Who right now is playing at a higher level than Jude Bellingham with consistency for both now club and country? I can't think of a name that is better. You may be having guys that potentially could be there or thereabouts, but not better than Jude Bellingham, and certainly not the importance that he has for both club and country. And I think of all the things that you can point the finger at Jude Bellingham and say the things that he's doing well in the field, what I gravitate towards the most is his presence, leadership, his sense of the moment, and doing what the team needs at the moment. Do I need to run with the ball? I can do that. Do I need to distribute the ball? I can do that. Do I need to be a player that can attack in the 18-yard box? I can do that. Do I need to win a challenge? I can do that. And it seems like his instincts for the game kick in moments in which the team needs him to do so, and seems to be scoring important goals both for club and country. And those are intangibles that you just cannot teach. And the skill set is one thing, but when you add it to the intangibles and the subjective part of the game, it is a full package and a combo package that I think Jude Bellingham offers both England and Real Madrid.
Well, there you have it. As Ale said, England definitely looking like favorites for the Euros come next year in Germany. What a thing it would be for England to win an international title in Germany.
Are you saying it's coming home? Is that what you're saying?
My team's Jamaica, so I would love for anything to come home there, Ale. But one quick thing, let's talk about Italy really quickly before we move on to some transfer rumors, because these are still the European defending champions, and once again they're staring down the barrel of a massive scandal off the pitch with the players involved in some betting. But Spalletti obviously looks like he has his work cut out for him. He recently said that he wants Italy to play free football with personality again. How much work though does he have to do to steady this ship before the Euros? Because again, they are the defending champions.
Yeah, and yet you watch them play and you watch the talent level and you kind of go, I think they're a little short. They're a little short. It just doesn't feel that they have enough in the attack. It doesn't feel like they have enough of a presence in the midfield. They're not nearly as good defensively. And so you kind of look around, and just on names alone, just on paper alone, you put England and Italy side by side, and it's a mismatch. And the game is not played on paper. We know this, right? That's well documented. But then you put it on the field, and there is a significant difference between England and Italy. You're not seeing a team in Italy that is playing at an elite level, and now they have the pressures of having failed to qualify to the World Cup. They have all of that kind of built into whatever happens in the next match against Ukraine. And so you're looking at it and thinking, okay, hold on a second. So what do we focus on? Do we focus on the fact that they won the Euros, or do we focus on the fact that they have failed to make it to the last two World Cups? Which one is the one that we want to pay attention to? Which one is the one that really tells us a story? Which one is the trend? Which one is the thing that we believe? And you just look at the talent on the field and you kind of go, they're short right now, and they're going to have to struggle in order to make it into the Euros.
Yeah, it's definitely quite the work cut out for him there, because we do want to see Italy back playing at the top level. Let's move on now to some transfer rumors. I know that we're a long ways away from the summer transfer window, but the January transfer window is just around the corner. We're just going to tackle some rumors here and find out if Ali thinks it makes sense or not. Let's talk about someone who I have so much time for, and that is Rodrygo Goes, one of my favorite impact players at Real Madrid. But now we're hearing that he may be surplus to requirements, believe it or not, at Real Madrid. So far, it's not been the best start of the season. Just 1 goal and 1 assist in 11 games so far for Los Blancos. Word is they want some more attacking reinforcements, Ale, and it may not be Rodrygo, or they're willing to use him to try and get maybe a bigger name out there. What do you think about this?
I don't think Rodrygo is going anywhere anytime soon. And I think Rodrygo has enough equity with Real Madrid, given the importance of some of the goals that he has scored in Champions League and some of the moments in which he has popped up and actually played an important part for Real Madrid. He's still very, very young, and a guy that I think Real Madrid can build around alongside Vini Jr. So to that end, I would say that he's not going anywhere. Now, I think this is coming up because of Rodrygo's, I suppose, statements to the media while he's away with the national team in Brazil, in which he's saying that, yeah, he's not really all that comfortable playing as a number 9, that he's more of a guy that likes to play on the outside, but, he's going to do the job that he's asked to do, and so on and so forth. I don't know why players think that when they go away with the national team, we're not going to find out what they're saying, and that somehow you talking about your club in Real Madrid is not going to become news. Well, it did become news, and now we're talking about potential transfer rumors. Again, I don't think Rodrygo is going anywhere anytime soon. He's got to focus, though, on being more effective in the final third. He does a lot of good work, but he's got to put that final touch. He's got to find that final pass, and he's got to find the goal, which he hasn't done all that often for Real Madrid. Only 1 goal so far in La Liga this season. That's perhaps where this is coming from, but I still think that Rodrygo stays at Real Madrid.
Yeah, I think he's an absolute brilliant impact player, even to bring off the bench. He may not want to always just come off the bench, but for now, as you said, he's young. Time may just be on his side. Let's move on now to talk about some managers. Antonio Conte, where he could be eyeing a move back to, obviously, Italy or Roma, we're hearing. What do you think of that, Ale?
Well, I wouldn't be excited whether I was Roma or Napoli, and certainly if I was a player in one of those clubs, because what seems to have happened with Antonio Conte in his managerial career is that he seems very excited for about the first 3 days that he's at the new club, and then everything is miserable, and everything around him is miserable. The players around him are miserable. The feeling in the club is miserable, and then it ends up being the same discussion. Oh, I don't have the tools. I don't have the players. What do you want me to do? We're limited. We're short. There's nothing we can do with the talent that is available here. And 7-8 months later, he's out the door because he's miserable. And again, the environment around him is miserable. So I don't know how much more leeway Antonio Conte has with his managerial career. It's a trend that is going in the wrong direction. If I'm Napoli, I'm looking elsewhere if that's the case. If I'm Roma, I'm also looking elsewhere if that's the case. I know Roma is struggling, but I mean, what a transition that would be from Mourinho to Antonio Conte. It's not very uplifting either way. Yeah, I at this point, if I were one of those clubs, I'm looking for something different, from a change of pace, perhaps a younger profile manager, or somebody who actually is excited about the opportunity to take on these teams, and especially in the case of Roma.
Well, back to talking about players now. Someone who we watch very closely again, Toni Kroos. What an absolute talent there in that midfield. He is getting on in age, but still an absolute legend there. Word is Manchester City could be on the horizon, or there are links, of course, right now. And this is purely, I suppose, based on his relationship with Pep Guardiola. Of course, they spent some time together in Germany, and Kroos actually had an amazing thing to say, I remember, about Guardiola, where he said, usually before, based on how the German teams play, nobody cared that much about the midfield men. But when Pep came in, he said suddenly he changed everything for us. He made us feel loved and basically highlighted the graph that goes on in that midfield. So Toni Kroos, probably one more time dreaming of working with Pep, and could it be at Man City?
I dream of working with Pep. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Now, again, this goes back to the current situation of Toni Kroos and Real Madrid. And so obviously his role has been diminished. But unlike Rodrygo, who's complaining about his role, Toni Kroos actually, there's been some statements this week in which he says, I'm not playing all that much, but on the other side, I'm pretty well rested and I'm pretty fresh. And look, essentially his approach is, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm good with whatever's going on. The team is doing well, I'm doing well. So if you put me in the field, I'm ready for you. If not, I'll be here comfortably and I'm not going to fight any of this. I think it's the approach of a player who is very content with his career, very much at peace with what he has been able to achieve in his career. And so therefore, I don't know that he is essentially knocking the door down for Pep Guardiola and saying, hey, look, I can give you this and I can give you that. I think Toni Kroos right now is happy. As happy he can be at this point in his career. He knows he's on the backside of the career. He's going to enjoy whatever opportunities come about, but he's not chasing it. I don't think he has the drive right now and the hunger to be chasing it. He's just in a comfortable place where he's going to do well when he's given an opportunity, but he's not going to stress about what my next big chance is going to be.
Now, Toni Kroos, as we know, is a player that definitely has nothing to prove to any of us right now, but absolute legend indeed. Right, let's move on to the part that Ale has been waiting patiently 22 minutes for. Let's talk some CONMEBOL, Ale. Not even probably, I'm going to say it, in my opinion, it is the toughest conference in international football. You would know that all too well, but right now Venezuela seems to be having a good run there. But Ale, give us your predictions now. I know it's early, but your predictions of the qualifying final standings. Who's going to the World Cup?
Well, first and foremost, we are very early on in the process, and I love me some Venezuela being in the fight, and the fact that in the current standings we're actually fourth. I'm going to say everybody's got to calm down. We're going to have to figure out a way to make this work over the course of the next 2.5 years in World Cup qualifiers. That's how long it's still yet to go in CONMEBOL. Venezuela will do just enough, and I'll take that right now. If you tell me Venezuela finishes 6th right now, I am taking it, and I don't complain at all whatsoever. It would be the first time that my country makes it into the World Cup. And there'll be many and many times in which you'll hear me say, "Vamos, Venezuela!" Aside from that, we go sort of, let's move away from Venezuela, because I know people get tired of the conversation and the jersey and so on and so forth. But you'll hear it. If Venezuela qualifies, you're gonna continue to hear this. I think what is happening right now is that Bolivia is a team that is struggling, has struggled, and will continue to struggle. So they have their difficulties. They're out of the picture. Paraguay got a big result against Bolivia, and so they give themselves some sort of life, but I don't sense over the course of the long qualifying process that they'll have enough. I think they're out. As to what happens in regards to who gets into the playoff spot and who's out and who stays and who goes, it's really going to come down to Peru and Chile, I believe, for that playoff spot. Now, Peru, I think they have talent, but it's aging talent. Chile, well, a whole lot more of that. They're both in transition. They are both trying to figure out who they are, and they can't quite come up with an answer just yet. And that's why teams like Venezuela are taking advantage of Chile's struggles, Peru's struggles. Hey, guess what? We'll get a point here in Brazil, and then we'll beat Chile at home, which is I think it's a key result for Venezuela, because those are direct rivals. So that's why Venezuela is as high as they are. As to what happens in the top, Argentina I think will run away with this World Cup qualifying cycle. Brazil, interesting enough, Brazil has some issues, and we don't know about the severity of the injury for Neymar, but people are talking about a potential ACL tear and an ACL injury, and if indeed that's the case, then Fernando Diniz is going to have to come up with answers as to what they do in the attack. This is a team that did not have a shot on target yesterday against Uruguay. Uruguay will qualify as well because there's an element of toughness to this team and an element of talent and fight that they have. They have a good combination of fight and talent. Guys like Fede Valverde, Ronald Araujo, Darwin Nunes, who's scoring goals. And then there is, I think, a combination that through the course of qualifier is useful in South America, and it works. It's a formula that we're going to fight when we need to fight, but when there needs to be talent on this full display, we have those players too. So they'll do enough, certainly, to be, I think, among the top 3 in qualification process in South America. And then it gets to Ecuador and Colombia, who yesterday they tied 0-0. And I think that's how their qualifying process is going to be. Against direct competition, it's probably going to be draws and points here and there, but again, against lesser competition like Paraguay, Bolivia, potentially Peru, they're going to win those games, and they'll do enough to climb up into the 4th and 5th position. And then, as I said, Venezuela hands on to the 6th and final direct World Cup qualifying position. And I'll be partying just as Venezuela will be as well. And what a moment that will be. That's what I'm seeing right now. It's really early. Everybody's got to come down to Venezuela. We got to show some humility. We got to show some discipline. We got to show some personality and character, because there's still a lot of work to do. But I'm really excited for the position that Venezuela is right now. We're in the fight. That's all we want. We're in the fight, and I think we're going to be there until the end.
Now, Ale, I hope you just allow me a little second for us to just get emotional here, because I remember back in 1998, I was a little girl. One of the best days of my life I will never forget is when the Reggae Boys qualified for the World Cup, our first and only World Cup for the boys. The girls have been twice, and just the other day when the girls got out of the group, that's the only thing that I think surpassed that day that I saw Jamaica qualify for the 98 World Cup, and it meant everything. For me, it's what got me fully into football, and look at where we are today. For you and Venezuela, and just all of the difficulties that we know the country has gone through and is still going through, what would this mean? Because I still think it's quite surprising to hear Venezuela's never been to a World Cup, because you have blessed us with some really great players. You have been there, you have flirted with it, but what would a World Cup berth mean for Venezuela?
Oh, well, that's a deep emotional question.
Let's get in our feels, Alex.
Yes. And then all you have to do is see the environment yesterday at the stadium in the game against Chile in Maturin, and how the people are living through this national team. And obviously for me, having been a national team player, it takes me back to those moments in which we were so close, we were right there, and we couldn't come up with the answers because, quite frankly, the moment was too big for us. We hadn't been there before. We didn't know what that felt like. We didn't know what that pressure was going to be like. And we simply could not respond. We could not answer the question when the question was asked, and came up short in moments that truly matter. To see then that the people have now gathered that same momentum and that same experience and that same energy that we felt perhaps when it was the 2011 Copa America, when we made it all the way to the semifinals. That sort of energy was, you could sense it and feel it as a player, and you can't put a number on it. There is no contract in the world that pays you enough to feel that sort of emotion, that sort of love, and that sort of support. Well, that's where the Venezuelan national team is right now, because the people need an outlet. The people need something positive, something to hang on to, and the Venezuelan national team represents that for our people. So them going to Brazil and getting a result, it elevates the feeling of the people in our country. Them getting a result against Chile at home and being able to back up the result against Brazil, now those feelings and that energy and that love and that support, all of that gets elevated again, and now it gets multiplied exponentially. Mm-hmm. And this is when I have to say, we all got to calm down a bit, people. We got to calm down. We got to calm down, because it's a long process. So the coaching at this point is going to be really critical, to be able to allow the team to celebrate for a little while, and then, hey, let's calm down. Let's come back to zero. Let's make sure that we understand what makes us successful and what makes us a good team. The people are going to get excited, but don't get crazy. You focus on what happens on the field, and you focus on the next game, and you focus on doing your job and doing it well. And that will propel you forward, because look at what's around us. The teams around us are struggling. Be consistent. While they struggle, we're consistent. We'll get enough points. And that would be my message to the team. But I cannot have that message with the people, because I'm with the people now. I'm not in the locker room anymore. and I can sense it. I can feel it. I talk to my dad, and my dad is he's already coming to the World Cup. Apparently, he's already telling himself that the World Cup is happening, and we all just have to take a step back. It's hard to do, but right now we're excited. Let's just say that and for me as a former national team player, it's a sense of pride to see where we were, what we became, what we have become, and potentially what we will be if this World Cup qualifying cycle goes the way that we want it.
Yeah, and I think we'll be crossing our fingers, everything for La Vinotinto for this one, because knowing just the complete diaspora of Venezolanos in the USA, it feels like it's written in the stars already, Ale. I don't want to say anything. Also, for us in Jamaica, again, considering I don't have to worry about USA, Canada, or Mexico, we better both be on that plane there. Then we can have jerk chicken arepas all through this World Cup. Perfect. Well, pleasure as always. Ale Moreno, I'm Alexis Nunes. Thanks to everyone for watching. That pretty much wraps this edition of ESPN FC Live. Like I said, we're on 3 times a week, and make sure to tune into ESPN FC. See the show later on. Plus, we're on every day, but we'll see you back here on YouTube next time.